Beyond Bitcoin Hangouts are meant to give everyone a voice, a chance to speak with others who are passionate advocates for expanding the blockchain's use cases out into the world and beyond. Do you have a crypto community you would like to represent and hold open hangouts for? If so, you might find yourself on the path to owning a stake in Beyond Bitcoin. We are looking for people who care about people who want to bring others together, because crypto communities are people. Beyond Bitcoin is a movement of thinkers and doers in the crypto space. And if you feel you are one of them, reach out to beyondbitcoin@gmail.com for more information on how to debut your community's efforts to reach to the stars and beyond. Welcome everybody to another Beyond Bitcoin Hangout. Today is Friday, November 25th, 2016, and this is episode 183. So for everybody who's here, thank you for attending, and thank you to those who are listening on this holiday week. There's a lot of stuff that we do as a group to get together to talk about blockchain technology in general. And I'm hearing that there are some really good rumblings going behind the scenes. As always, a lot of things are picking up pace in the graphene space. And as we get together every week for 183 episodes now, and a couple extras that we probably should count in there somewhere, to talk about various blockchain projects, our own blockchain projects, and to answer questions from the people who might want to participate in those projects. We believe in media that is low barrier to entry. So we use something called Steemit.com, where you can go and post your own, to an RSVP thread, your own project, and sign up to talk and as a guest speaker at these hangouts. Getting upvoted by the community who follows you can help you to become the first, second, or third, and so on within the Hangout series. Or you can use the Beyond Bitcoin Mumble server for your own Hangouts. So with that said, this week we have PeerPlays, Steemland, Beyond Bitcoin website would be myself and Fadat, and Johnny Bitcoin, and he's going to be talking about BitShares a little bit more today. So with that said, PeerPlays is going to be represented by Jonathan Bahai and Crypto Prometheus, who is Michael Maloney. And are you guys there?
We sure are.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and pass on the talking stick to you and get some updates on PeerPlays. And I hear you guys have some cool stuff going on behind the scenes, but let's get the community into the update and maybe some question and answer afterwards.
Great. Thank you so much, Fuzzy. My name is Jonathan Bahai. I am the president of Bunker Chain Labs, the company which heads up the PeerPlays project. And this past week, Michael and I had an opportunity to finally actually play the game in GUI mode. So we've actually completed the GUI. It has not been launched on the public testnet, though. There's still some minor bugs that we're working out, but it is a playable, real-time blockchain game, and we're very excited about this. So you could expect to see it on the testnet next week, and at that time we will be posting in all our social media channels about the testnet being updated with the new game, so that you can test it out, you can see it, and you can try it. The game that's created is a prototype. It is based on the functionality for the prototype to provide provable fair gaming. So the prettiness of it in some cases is not there because we focus primarily on the programming logic. But at the same time, we've been working with the designers for a separate wallet, which has a brand new design to it that incorporates the game. And with that, once the live blockchain launches later on with PeerPlays, the actual game will have a whole new interface, will be much more smooth in terms of its user friendliness, and that will be when the actual live blockchain launches. For the testnet purposes, though, we have a playable game. That is exciting, and it was fantastic. As we were sitting there, Michael and I were testing out different areas of it, and we're just sitting there. It just kind of hit us suddenly. It's like, we are actually playing this on the blockchain. Like, this is the first time, and we just like, it was like a wow moment, and it was. I'm just really excited that we're finally at the stage, and we're going to be able to share this with everybody next week. So that's our update for this week. And if there are any questions, we're very happy to be able to have Michael with us today. He is still in Hong Kong, so him attending these Hangouts is a bit difficult. But this week
he's
able to come.
A night dweller now, right?
Yes, that's right. So it's 11 p.m. there right now. So I'm going to pass on any questions that anybody has about the PeerPlays project to Michael. So have a great day.
Thank you, Data. Okay, Michael, you there?
Yeah, good morning or evening to everybody.
What game is it?
I love you, Fuzzy.
Sorry to interrupt, man, but we've all been waiting for a while on this.
Yeah, well, you're going to be able to log in and play in less than a week here, so you'll be able to.
Still won't be able to tell us the game?
No, what fun would that be?
Oh, that's evil. Okay. Well, continue. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I don't have really any more big updates at this point. I'm kind of. I was telling Jonathan before I hopped on here. It's just been kind of a long day here, and I got a little bit of a headache actually. So, I wasn't really primed to come on and give a big presentation or anything. But I definitely can answer any questions if anybody has any.
One thing that I've heard helps headaches is not keeping secrets. It helps to relieve the stress. So just a thought, maybe that's why you're having this headache right now. Does anybody else have any questions or comments? Desbest says, how do you plan on marketing poker if you don't take or rake a fee?
Yeah, that's a pretty good question. So essentially, that is exactly the marketing dynamic. So naturally, every other site that you go on is low rake or lower rake than the competition, right? It's always a come here and pay 0.5% less or something like that. There's no one that has no rake fee though, and here's the idea behind all this is essentially the PeerPlays blockchain is going to have a number of different games. Primarily, the first app that we're focused on putting together is sporting betting exchange. Texas Hold'em will be worked on kind of simultaneously, but probably won't be fully released until after we finish up the sports betting stuff. So in that regard, there will already be, combine that with the sort of the prototype game that we have. We've got a couple ideas for a couple other simple on-chain games that we're going to try to put together at the beginning of next year. So the idea here from a business standpoint is to get people on board, to get people using the platform, right? So like every other cryptocurrency platform, you need to figure out ways that you can attract people, bring people on board, get in the case of poker specifically, possibly much more than even sports betting or other games is you really need to get people to leave the current platform that they're using and come over to yours. There's a lot of people that are very loyal to particular platforms. It's hard to get people. You really need to give them something very valuable for it to be worth it to them. And so the idea is that, the PeerPlays blockchain has very, very low overhead, all things considered. The overhead of the blockchain itself, just to have it operate, assuming a sort of theoretical position where, or theoretical situation, hypothetical situation where all of the code was miraculously written and everything worked wonderfully, the only overhead to the blockchain is basically paying the witness nodes, paying witness operators. So in that regard, it's very low overhead compared to even many other online gaming, gambling, wagering operations. There's a huge amount of cost associated with those. And so in that regard, we have a couple of major advantages. One of which is simply that we can charge lower rakes, whether it's a rake or whether it's a commission in the case of a sports betting exchange, but we can sort of outcompete the competition in that way. Obviously, we've talked about all the advantages of having it be fully accessible worldwide. Especially when it comes to betting exchanges. There's nothing like that available in the United States right now at all, at least not easily, without going through VPNs and possibly even setting up. I'm getting some echo here. Are you guys hearing that?
Yeah, I'm hearing it too, but I'm not seeing it from anybody in the actual Hangout conference room. So I think it's coming from feedback from you, actually.
Okay, that's strange. Hopefully that goes away.
Yeah.
It
sounds like it happens when you go a little bit louder, like when you emphasize.
Okay, I'll try to be mellow.
Just mumble, man. Just mumble.
So anyway, I'm talking about the business side of it. So, we've got a number of different things, obviously, that give us sort of the advantage over a lot of the competition. And essentially, the idea behind no rake fees is that is a I'm gonna call it a loss leader, for lack of a better term for it right now. It's a way to basically attract people from other poker platforms to come and check out PeerPlays. So everything that we've read and also people we've spoken to and everything we understand is that poker players, especially professionals, pay a huge amount of money in rake fees, in any given year or any given month. And so because we're going to have all these other money-making games and features on the platform, the possibility exists that we could have poker, PeerPlays poker have no rake fees. And the reality is it may only be that way for a year or maybe less than a year. Who knows? I mean, it's going to depend on to what extent we're able to onboard players, and enough players to sort of get that critical mass. Of course, all of the fees will be set by the committee members, the committee members on the delegated proof of stake blockchain. So in that regard, it'll ultimately be up to the committee members if and when the rake fees are increased, for poker. But in any case, it's a very unique situation in terms of what we're able to do with that, and I hope that answers the question.
Do you feel like that answered your question, Despest? He says, so there are no interests for referral marketer to advertise poker. They will advertise other on-chain game and word of mouth will do it for poker.
Well, it's very interesting how the referral income is actually set up technically on the blockchain. So right now, we don't have it set up, or at least when the blockchain launches, we're not going to be able to pay rake fee percentage as part of the referral program. So the referral program that exists is part of the current code for the open source graphene code, which includes essentially every fee that's paid to the blockchain for operations. For any sort of operation that you're doing, the rake fee is something that exists as part of it's a little different in terms of the operations on the blockchain, and as of right now that is not actually integrated into the referral program. So that's probably going to be something we do in the future. I think it would make sense to do that, but in any case, that's yes, technically speaking, there wouldn't be any incentive in terms of expectations of getting a percentage of the rake, kickback for referring people to play poker. But that said, there's other reasons that people would stay and use the platform. One of the things we've seen is that poker and sports betting usually go side by side in many of these platforms. and a lot of people, statistically speaking, dabble in a little of both. Although, of course, naturally there are people that are just hardcore poker players, and so in that regard, we have plans. Part of the business that we've set up and the business we're going to be building going forward. We haven't gotten into talking about exactly how that's going to be organized, but I mentioned very briefly a few mumbles ago that we are setting up a nonprofit organization, and part of that is going to include having marketing and advertising budget, and so there's going to be other ways in which to attract poker players. It's not going to be fully just reliant upon the referral program in every regard, to bring new users to PeerPlays. We're going to have a sort of top-down model that we can apply and follow as well. There's sort of various levels of complexity there in terms of when we release the apps and how we, what markets we release them into, and how we choose to, get the word out, and how we use the power of, everything from press releases to social media marketing, and all these things are being carefully considered, and we have people that are coming on board that are, that are working solely for that purpose as part of the project. So, so it's going to be anyway. Okay, so I sorry, my head is. It's the end of the day here, so I'm kind of running out of steam.
No, you're fine. You actually answered it pretty. Yeah, Desbest says thank you for the very complete answer.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm known for.
Well, it's better than incomplete.
Do you want to talk about your trip at all?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's I can't. Unfortunately, I can't talk about anything on the business side. But everyone's gonna hear about that and see that very, very soon. As Jonathan mentioned, we've got the game coming out this week. We needed to have that completed and have that operational and show everybody what we've got before we made any announcements about about raising more funds. Obviously, our purpose and our task for raising our first round of funding last spring was to be able to build this prototype of this on-chain game. In that regard, we've succeeded. And going forward, within a week or two after that, we're literally putting all the pieces together. These next couple of weeks have been really intense in terms of getting everything together. But when those announcements come, they're going to start coming and sort of be a rapid fire thing. But on a personal note, it's been very, I'm not very much of a city person, myself, and I've had the opportunity to sort of get up into the hills a little bit and do some hikes and stuff like that. But I just started thinking a few days ago, it's yesterday actually. Yesterday was Thanksgiving here, and I was thinking, there's nothing like being away from home on Thanksgiving to make me really thankful for what it is I have and where I live, and all of the space and the food and the clean air from the place that I live back home is were things I was really counting my blessings for, as I've been sort of in this city for the last almost a month here. So, but yeah, it's been a great experience, and I'm definitely looking forward to doing this more in the coming months and years as we move into sort of phase 2 of this project, and we start doing a lot more outreaches and conferences and things like that. So
okay, so here's a question here, and I don't want to not ask it because it might not mean what I think it means, but I'm going to ask it, and if it does. Okay.
I see the question. I'll spare you the embarrassment, Fuzzy. G-Chicken is asking me, have you been to the ladies' market?
Thank you.
The answer is...
And please, can you tell me what that is as well? For those of us who have no clue.
I'm not gonna make any assumptions, except that I'm gonna assume that everybody knows exactly what that is. And the answer is no, I have not, obviously. been any place that markets ladies here in Hong Kong, or the services of ladies. That said, one of the services I consider, I have considered getting is there's a lot of foot massage places around here, and it's a relatively good price. And so I may visit a lady to give me a foot massage, but that'll be the extent of.
This is gonna be a conversation that we're gonna have to pull out of this hangout and just hold on to for future, like, just to display it at times, because I've been just laughing this entire time. It does not mean that apparently it's a normal market. They just named it that, which is a terrible name, but okay. So just so you know, Crypto, that's kind of, I think this question was a trap. Okay, continue.
I was kind of determined in my head not to give you anything that you could blackmail me with in the future. So
yeah, right. But foot massages, yeah, they actually have a culture of massage over there, don't they?
Yeah, it's very, everybody's very close together here. Anywhere you go, I went to the ATM this afternoon, and, I stood in line for the ATM, and it was like, remember that Seinfeld episode where they had the close talker, where the guy was just right there on top of
Of course, I remember it.
That guy. Yeah. So, everybody, it's very sort of tightly woven. And at the same time, though, what I found is everyone's sort of very much self-contained. There's a lot of, I go to the city parks in the morning, and there's probably 40 or 50 people in any given park doing Tai Chi and yoga right in the parks, and it's all very a lot of elderly people too. A lot of people very healthy, just in terms of fitness, mobility, and yeah. So in that regard, it's there's like anywhere else. I think there's probably some awesome things about it here, and some things that sort of aren't so awesome. But all in all, it's been a good time and been a great experience.
So could we sum it up by saying you are not a city boy, but you've enjoyed it, and you're looking forward to being back in the mountains where the mountain man belongs?
Yeah, I say that's a fair summary.
That sounds good. Well, you have a headache, so we don't want to keep you too long, but does anybody have any final questions for Crypto? Thank you for joining us, by the way, because what time is it for you? It's late night right now over there for you, right?
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's 11:30. So, well, I'll go ahead and wrap up if I don't see any more questions here. So I'll just let everybody know that we will be putting out a release and an announcement post when we actually push everything onto the testnet. So if you go to www.peerplays.com/news, you can keep an eye on that. I think we've got an RSS feed on there if anybody uses RSS. You can also follow us on Steemit. The username is just PeerPlays. And then we've got a Bitcoin Talk and BitShares Talk thread. We've got all our social media channels. If anybody uses Facebook or any of those sort of corporate social media places anymore, you can follow us there. And also our Rocket Chat channel is https://peerplays.chat.
Thank you very much, man. Didn't even have to ask you the question. Well, thank you for joining up. I know that you're busy over there, and thank you for keeping the secret from me yet another week. And to all those out there who are listening, because obviously we care what they get to hear too. But especially thank you for keeping it from me. And we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot, Fuzzy, and thank you, everybody. I'll talk to you soon.
Oh my God.
I had to answer it because you were going to ask it, and you were feeling all awkward about it. And
yeah, man. Well, what I was hoping was that there was just some chance that G Chicken was meaning something else, but I didn't see how it could be something else. really, like rationally. Like I was trying to place it for the logic. I didn't think about the fact that, another language, so I guess translated into our language, it might just be ladies market or something like that. But oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's a store, or an outlet store called Goods of Desire, and it must be another one of those things that's sort of lost in translation because it's just like this. It's kind of like a mini Target, basically.
Really?
So I guess it's supposed to mean like good, desirable goods, or goods you may
That
desire.
has to be it. Yeah, I've noticed certain things with my wife too that she'll say certain things like it almost reminds me of whenever I
Okay, I'll be
used to
ready in
play
a
video
moment.
games. Okay, no problem, man. It kind of reminds me of when I used to play video games and you would have like the gauntlets of fire and things like that. Like she'll say stuff like something of this, or and it's like I don't. Instead of saying it the right way, she kind of switches things around, and it ends up sometimes meaning something much different. You know?
Yeah, one of the most difficult I've seen. They've got the translation algorithms, and I've always found it the most difficult text to sort of wrap your mind around is Mandarin, translated to English. Like even these complex, mathematical algorithms aren't anywhere close to being able to fully decipher these things. And I mean, sometimes to the point of if you don't have a paragraph that you can actually get some context, if you just have a sentence or two translated, it's just completely almost impossible to understand.
Yeah, that's why I liked how Ken Code and them did their translation campaign for block pay over on Steam, and they had everybody from these different countries going and actually translating it by hand. It was very interesting. Johnny Bitcoin, you are up next. Are you there?
Yep.
Now, you wanted to talk, it says here that you would like to talk about BitShares generally, and more specifically, Alt's new market maker bot. And you're also interested in the PeerPlays plans for Freedom Ledger and other developments going on in BitShares.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, basically just stuff about BitShares and more specifically of liquidity and btsbots.com, which is the market making bots that Alt has made recently.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and I'll give you the talking stick, and feel free to talk about whatever specific aspects you want and bring them up. And anybody who has any questions or comments, feel free to speak up or ask them in the sidebar in the chat box on the left bottom hand side of the Mumble client.
Okay, right. So it's me. I thought the other person was speaking. Yeah, I've just written down a list of things that kind of, I scribbled down a bunch of things I've been thinking about BitShares recently. I went to Steamfest, and the mumbles these days are a lot about Steem. I like Steem, but my heart is with BitShares. And I went to Steamfest particularly to meet the people from BitShares world, and it was really good to see people's faces, put their usernames to faces, and talk about BitShares. So that was really cool. But a lot of people there, they seem to be more focused on Steem now. But for me, it's all about BitShares, and it's been quite stagnant recently. I mean, if you go on the forums, it's very quiet and not much happening. There used to be a lot of talk on the forums. I know there's a lot of people will now post their stuff on Steem because there's a chance for payouts, and that's understandable. And as you've talked about, if someone can wrap the Steemit or the Steem blockchain into a website that doesn't look like Steem, or even have a forum that looks like a normal forum but is actually running on Steem, that would be cool. Yeah, just generally, yeah, it would be cool. But generally with BitShares, it's been a bit quiet, and that saddens me. But there has been this new bot, this market making bot that Alt, the username Alt has made. You can view it at btsbots.com. but it's also available as an Android app. Now, I'm not technical, I can't program, so this is like a friendly layman's GUI to allow you to do your own market making if you can't run Python bots. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is really, thank you for bringing up for people who don't know about it.
Yeah, I mean, Alt's written it, and he's well, English is not his native language, so I don't think he can come on and market it and talk about it. But as we all know with BitShares, like one of the biggest problems is liquidity, and having tools like this, which allow people like me and anyone else who wants to kind of be a market maker for BitShares, it's really, really helpful. I still haven't like fully mastered it and fully understand it, but I'm almost there. And right now, if you go to the web address btsbots.com, you have to keep your browser window open to keep the bot running. But I think with the Android app, you can tick to have your bot running, and it will stay running. So that's pretty cool.
When you search for BTS bots, it is actually exactly that, BTS, BOTS, correct?
Yeah, .com, I believe. I think.
I mean, as the app, or is it named something slightly different as far as?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's BTS bots. If you search for that in Google Play, then it will come up.
Yeah, I can confirm it. I'm downloading it now.
So, yeah, it's pretty cool. I think the trade you can specify, the amount you want to trade with is specified in yuan or CNY. That's a bit confusing, but that's pretty cool. So yeah, I recommend if you're into BitShares, please try it out, and please add liquidity. I'd say specifically to BitUSD, because that's kind of like the first one that we can kind of prove smart coins as a viable kind of dollar pegged crypto coin. Because the more people market making, the smaller the spreads and the lower the fees that block trades or Shapeshift can charge. And if we can get that dollar peg there from having lots of people doing the market making, then BitUSD becomes really viable all of a sudden. So.
Agreed. Now, out of curiosity, when you join up to this wallet, it says log in. Do you just attach? I'm assuming you attach your account, like
yeah. So you can actually. It's actually almost like it's actually a wallet. It's actually a GUI, a very basic one. But you have to hand over your private key. So you log in with your private key. So I guess I don't fully understand it. I wish someone can explain it. Who's a bit more technical might be able to explain it better. But you log in with your private key, and I guess that gives Alt the ability to run away with your funds. But I don't know. So.
I mean, does he run? I'm assuming he runs a web server that offers this service, right?
Yeah, I would assume so. But if someone's more technical and understands it better than I do, that would be great to hear from them.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, as I'm looking at it, that looks like that's what it would be. How it works, but that's not necessarily. I mean, there's a lot of third-party things that people use. That's not necessarily a bad thing, especially if you don't want to have a wallet that is going to have a lot of money in it. You can create another wallet.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't connect my main account to it at all. I've just created an account specifically for trading with the for using the bot, and then I put no more than £1,000 in at the moment. But if I can gain trust in it, or someone can prove to me how it's safe or something, then I can market make with more money.
Yeah, this is really cool, man.
But it's cool because you go on BTS bots and you've got the order books, you've got the buys and the sells. But with BTS bots, you can actually see all the people who are who have the orders in. So I can see that BlockPay or BitShares Munich have their own market making bot, and you can see they've got a buy and a sell. And then there's other people. I think Enki is quite active there, doing some market making. So it's just interesting to see, and it's good to see BlockPay obviously trying to provide liquidity for these smart coins as well.
Definitely. When I'm looking at BTS Bot's website, it says the main markets are BTS, CNY, USD, Open BTC, and Gold.
Yeah. I've been, well, I actually turned it off the other day, but I was market making BTS versus BitUSD for a while, and I was doing BTS versus Open.BTC. I think he's purposely keeping the number of markets low to have
That's
more
smart.
people, and increase liquidity, which is ultimately what BitShares needs.
Well, it's interesting that it hasn't been happening though, right, Johnny? I mean, this is the type of thing that we've been looking for quite some time, is a liquidity bot for the everyday person to be able to use pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, I think Alts is quite, he seems to be developing quite quickly, and he's had good feedback in the forums. So if he continues, then maybe it'll become super easy to use, and we can all just like put money in a pot, and it adds to liquidity. And there's people saying that they've their bot up with like 5% spread or something, and they're actually making returns. So that's good. I mean, yeah, you can make returns. It's not guaranteed. You could if the price moves too quickly one way, you might lose money. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't seem like it seems like to me one of the biggest things that's been holding back BTS has been the liquidity of some of the
definitely.
primary markets, right?
Yeah, I mean, if this liquidity bot, this market making bot, if it is really reliable and good and lots of people are using it, there's no reason it couldn't, that functionality couldn't be built into the GUI, whether OpenLedger adds it or the BitShares GUI client. Yeah, it's good. So yeah, that's BTS bots.
Well,
also regarding,
I would like to plug Alt real quick too, because you've mentioned Alt quite a bit, and Alt is one of the members of the community who's been here for a long time, doing a lot of good work. So just so people know, this isn't just some guy who just joined yesterday either.
Yeah, I trust
Sorry.
him. I don't know him, but I trust him.
Yeah.
Then other thoughts on liquidity. Obviously, you've got OpenLedger with their UIAs. So there's liquidity in the smart coins like BitUSD and BitBTC. But the other thing we need to get liquidity in is just the UIAs. So OpenLedger have their UIAs for a lot of coins. It supports a lot of coins, but there's just no trading going on there. There's no buy walls or sell walls for any of these altcoins. So it'd be good to market make these. But the other thing I was thinking, and I've said this on the forum and to Ronnie, is as OpenLedger are like a private exchange that are using BitShares as their back end, it seems strange to me that they provide access to UIAs from another company. So specifically Trade's UIAs. I mean, it's great for us to use, but it's confusing for people who go to OpenLedger for the first time and they'll be confused why there's two different gateways and there's two different types of Ether or two different types of Litecoin. And so, yeah, I just think it'd be better if there was only one, like OpenLedger stuck to its own assets, and say anyone else who makes an exchange, they stick to their own assets. But yeah. Also, I don't know if the guys from PeerPlays are here, but they have an exchange, a BitShares exchange, which is on the BitShares blockchain called freedomledger.com. So I don't know if you want to speak about that, if there's been any progress on that.
Yeah, I'm still here. Okay, so yeah, we've actually over just the course of the last few weeks, as we've been, like I mentioned earlier, finalizing all the business arrangements for PeerPlays going forward. Freedom Ledger is going to continue to exist in its current form. We're not going to be putting any sort of energy or money into developing it any further. Interestingly, the PeerPlays wallet architecture is all, created for the generic graphene blockchain. We've taken the front end coding language, which I believe is called Alt, has been changed into Redux, and the front end of the wallet design itself is all done in React, and so it's a really awesome looking wallet, and it actually has a lot of the functionality that BitShares also shares. However, it's all going to be, I believe we're going to end up licensing it just to PeerPlays. I don't know if there's an opportunity to license it to BitShares in the future. If there was, it would probably there'd have to be some sort of monetary incentive to do so. It's all been developed.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet. It's something that we have to sort of, we're going to have to see what comes up and what use there is for it. I think ultimately it would have to be, someone that probably would be interested in running a lightweight wallet, and not a lightweight wallet. I'm sorry, a web wallet. Like Jonathan does now for Freedom Ledger, or like Ronnie does with Open Ledger. The code, to answer Mr. Anderson's question, yes, the code will all be open sourced, but it won't be licensed to use. So it won't be an open free MIT license. People can look at the code, but in terms of the design itself, that's all property of the organization that we're setting up. But that said, like I said, it's not PeerPlay. BitShares doesn't really compete with PeerPlays in any ways that make it, maybe totally off the table of having, the opportunity for PeerPlays to, license that wallet and the design and the code and everything to perhaps even just someone who wants to run a open source wallet. Run a web wallet. An existing company that wants to run an exchange.
So does the PeerPlays UI that you're developing, that's written in React, and that's like a kind of a fork of the UI from BitShares, but you've developed it and made it specific for PeerPlays and added some features?
Yeah, we've added features, and we basically have about 90 plus, maybe close to 95% of all of the features that are all of the capabilities, all the functions that you're able to do from the current BitShares GUI have all been ported and rewritten and redesigned, and will be part of the PeerPlays wallet, although they won't all be released in the beginning. When we launch the blockchain, for example, we won't have I don't think we're going to have, as part of the first version of it, all of the the ability to create the user issued assets, all of that sort of complex functionality won't. But
does it have the ability to log in to PeerPlays or the UI in a kind of traditional sense, where you have a username and password? Because one of the biggest issues with BitShares UI, a lot of people find it confusing how you back up the wallet and have a brain key and stuff. So is that functionality of being able to log in a traditional way, is that coming to the PeerPlays UI?
Yes, you're speaking of Steem's functionality, and yes, we've made it much easier. We also have developed a very simple, I think it's going to surprise a lot of people. It's something that actually Jonathan and I came up with just on a whim in a brainstorming session, and we ran it by all of our developers, and everyone thought it was a great idea, and so we've come up with a very simple password recovery system as well, which is something that's been very sort of a something that's been an issue for a lot of people in the BitShares ecosystem. So I'm not going to talk too much more about that. Everybody will see that when we launch the wallet. We might even have the wallet. I don't know if we're going to have the wallet on a public testnet. I think we're probably going to put the wallet on a public testnet at least a few weeks before we launch the blockchain, just so everybody can get familiar with that. Get familiar, with how to vote. Because once the blockchain is launched, the very first thing we're going to want everybody to do is to get in there, unlock their tokens, and then start voting. Because we're going to have to vote, and get it decentralized as quickly as possible in terms of voting in new witnesses and stuff like that. So.
Cool. So the best functionality that you've developed for PeerPlays UI will be open source, but it won't be available for the BitShares UI just to implement itself, because obviously you've had the cost of developing it and you want to be compensated for that via a worker proposal or however, I guess.
If somebody chooses to implement it without having an agreement or a contract with us, then they would be in violation of the license agreement.
Yeah, cool. Understood. Cool. Okay. So that's cool to hear. I'm just looking at my little list of other things from BitShares that I wanted to talk about. I was going to say it'd be really good to get Ronnie from OpenLedger to actually come on a Mumble and talk, as he runs OpenLedger. I don't think he's ever actually been on a Mumble, and it'd be good to hear what he's got to say. I met him in Steamfest, and I've also met him in Manchester as well before, but it'd be good to hear from him and have people ask him questions about what he's up to.
Yeah, he's aware of them. He's been here to probably, I think, about 4 or 5 of them in the past, but he's been, whenever I talked to him before, he was just so busy that he said that it was too much. So that's why that does not happen. Of course, I would always urge everybody else, to reach out to him, because I try to tell him it's always good to be able to, to join up and talk to a large portion of the community who are really big into BitShares, because, we have, I would say, some of the most core people in BitShares all surrounding and joining up to these Beyond Bitcoin Hangouts. And a lot of them are people who, even if they're not really necessarily active, they're holding a lot of tokens and they're listening, so
yeah.
I like to urge people to be transparent and open about stuff, but of course, he's got other avenues of being open and transparent. So I would reach out to him. I'll gladly reach out to him as well again if you're interested in that.
Yeah, I'll mention it to him as well. He was, because I saw him at Steamfest, and he's been saying that there would be a new UI coming for BitShares on the 15th of November. Now, I think the guys that he had that have been working on that, they've only got so far and they hadn't finished it in time for the 15th. They've made some progress, but I don't think it's ready to go. And I think what he was talking about was having 2 different types of UI for BitShares or for OpenLedger. One of which would be very simple to use, almost like the Bitstamp easy mode, where you can just click I want to buy this and then you get it. And then obviously the more technical advanced mode. But it never came. But he's still working on it, as far as I believe, and I think he has recruited SVK to pick up where his guys couldn't manage. So hopefully now SVK's on it, it should arrive sometime soon, maybe in the new year. I don't know, but
nice.
Yeah.
Now is SVK? Does he not have? He doesn't have a worker proposal anymore, does he?
No, he said. I was asking him in Telegram. I think he said he might do a new one in January, but it's only a maybe. I don't know if he's working. I think he might be working on some Steam stuff as well. But I think SVK is essential to BitShares. I mean, the GUI work he does is great, and with his work that he does on the GUI, it's like you can see it. So every time you use the web wallet, there may be small changes, and that's something that SVK's like kind of changed or made better. And without him, I think, I don't know, BitShares would have stalled quite a lot more than it already has.
Well, I think that one thing that I will say is that we have Steem, right? And there's a lot of stuff going on with that. And we seem to talk about Steem a lot more than BitShares in general. But there are a lot of people who are starting to actually make money by doing the stuff that they've been doing for free for so long, who are still big into BitShares. That I find myself thinking that I still feel pretty bullish about it, because I know that there are a lot of people who listen to Beyond Bitcoin who probably feel exactly the same way, which is one of the reasons why they're so avid listeners, right? They understand that graphene and what BitShares has done is amazing. So, I think that we're in this place where it's a steal, man. I'm telling people, I wish I could have gotten in at this price early on, But yeah, I think that a lot of that money is going to start coming back, is what I guess I'm saying.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, a lot of the people I met at Steamfest who are originally BitShares people, like when I speak to them, they all of them were saying, just like you were saying, they can't believe how advanced graphene or how advanced BitShares is, all the stuff it can do, how well it runs, how long it's been running, all its functionality. Yet there's still this there's I don't know, it's just the adoption's not there. Maybe it's too complicated for your average shitcoin speculator to kind of understand. But I think anyone who's worked on BitShares in the past still understands like how much potential it has there, and it just needs one or two tweaks that kind of gets more of a mainstream interest, and then BitShares could be huge.
Well, I could keep on going and talking, but real quick, does anybody else have anything that they would like to bring up with Johnny, or anything that they would like to say to him regarding what he's brought up so far? G-Chicken saying, with all the projects being based off of graphene, BitShares has a lot of tech that can be ported over. A lot of value has been produced by Steem, PeerPlays, and others.
Yeah, like the login function of Steem, and I hope some of these features can get ported back to BitShares. I mean, ByteMaster always said that's when he started Steem. He's like, oh well, some of the great new features from Steem it can come back to BitShares, but I don't think ByteMaster's. I don't know how much he cares about BitShares anymore.
I should mention here real quick. The profit sharing feature that we created earlier this year, that we released in July, that functionality we released under the MIT license. So that is actually something that can be, and I believe will be, soon ported to BitShares, although nobody's actually put in the worker proposal, none of the developers, nobody who has that capability of porting it over. We haven't spent any time or money or energy doing that, but
is this the dividend feature that lets you put a coin in to an address and it distributes it out to everyone who owns a certain token?
Yeah, it's dividends. You can. It's got a bunch of really awesome features. There's a number of different things you can do with it. All the basic overview of it in terms of the API stuff is on our PeerPlays.com/news site. I think you got to scroll back to something like the middle of July. There's an article on there about it that has the outline of everything that it does, and then it's in the. I think we've got it in a public repo. I think we have the link to the repo where all the code exists there too.
Cool. So I guess it's just a matter of getting on to implement it and get them compensated.
Well, just out of curiosity, I just posted something that I saw on Steemit, ironically, by a guy named Ontofractal, and he created something called Elixir. And let me just give you a quick, just read off the one paragraph that he wrote. He says, introducing Elixir Erlang client library for BitShares and Graphene 2.0. And it says here, Elixir is a functional programming language with superior concurrency primitives and fault tolerance capabilities based on Erlang/OTP. Personally, I'm really happy with my bet on Elixir to build crypto tokens related apps and strongly recommend every developer to try it. So I'm wondering, we have, and this is kind of what I'm doing with Beyond Bitcoin actually over on Steem, is I'm trying to get people who are interested in graphene technology and BitShares, and trying to keep that history. We have the BitShares symbol here for our logo, partially, for God's sake. So we're trying to keep that history and kind of keep BitShares in the minds of the people that Steem brings in, because let's face
Fuzzy, you cut out.
Fuzzy.
Looks like he went offline. He might have lost internet connectivity. Stay tuned, everybody. He'll be back.
Based on what he was just saying, I'm hoping to capture some of those Steem users and get them familiar with BitShares with the articles that I've been posting recently on the history of BitShares. Actually, I think I've titled it "Turning Steem into turning Bitcoin into Steem," but it's all about the history of BitShares and how we got into Steem in the first place.
I've been following those, Tom. They're really good. I've been upvoting your series. I think it's a really good read, and it's a good effort to educate people on what's going on with BitShares. I'd also like to, the history is interesting for those that want to dive into it, but I also I'm looking forward to what the prospects are for BitShares in regards to future changes that can help to improve its platform.
Thank you, Data. You guys are a part of that process of pushing BitShares into the next phase of development, although maybe dragging it along, but still you're leading the charge, and I really appreciate everything you guys are doing.
Well, this is the beauty of graphene. Everybody doing projects is able to demonstrate what works and what doesn't. So Steem certainly has shown us in its experiment a number of features which are effective, while at the same time some that aren't so much.
What other active graphene chains are there? So there's PeerPlays obviously coming soon, and BitShares, Steem. I think, was it Follow My Vote, which has recently kind of gone. They've stopped now. Maybe was Muse one of them?
Yeah, Muse was one of them. I was going to add to that.
I also know of eDinar was another graphene chain which did some modifications. I from what I've heard and what I know in the dev space, there's actually quite a few graphene chains that have been launched that actually did not go public in regards to using graphene. So they haven't necessarily engaged with the community with what they're doing. But there is also the Golos project, which is the Russian Steem. That is, I guess, technically another graphene chain that has launched.
Those that haven't launched publicly, I'm glad to see that if they've got something really useful that will ultimately be released to the public, it's good they hold back until they've got things tweaked just right, because we don't really want a lot of half-done things out there if we can avoid it. We'd rather have something that will help adoption of more of the mainstream or non-crypto type people like Steem is doing in whatever these new chains in the graphene space are doing. I'd like to see it more refined rather than getting out there too early.
Yeah, I was hoping Moonstone were going to come up with something this year, but I don't know what's happened with them. I don't know.
The only thing Moonstone was doing was a wallet. It was supposed to be a mobile wallet with a series of features. Unfortunately, the crowd sale they did was during BTS 1 days. Some of the features that they boasted about have kind of gone by the wayside. And yes, it's not clear as to if anything will be released anytime soon.
I haven't seen any news from them. Go ahead, Johnny.
No, just nothing.
I was just going to say that I haven't seen anything from the Moonstone folks for quite some time, and I know he was rather dissatisfied with the whole transition between BitShares 1 and 2. So I don't really expect to see anything come out of that. But if I'm wrong, I hope I am. But if not, then I think that's what we're going to see is not much from Moonstone.
The last time I checked from Moonstone, it was approximately I would say 4 months ago, I saw that there was a Moonstone wallet that they were working on, and it was a gentleman who had a video that it went through, and they were interviewing him as the person who was building it. So I'm thinking that Talent must have handed this project off to him, or hired him on to work for it or something. But I haven't heard any updates, and I reached out to Talent not too long ago, so I can't give any confirmation other than that little tidbit of information.
Something else that should be noted regarding BitShares is that we just recently got a worker proposal going with Vikram, who was one of the original developers of Graphene and one of the core developers with Cryptonomics. And he's come back under his own umbrella now with another person from the past, Agent... I can't remember the number, 86. Yeah. So they're back. They've come to the community. They got a worker proposal voted in, and their plan is to provide some development work in knocking out some of the bug fixes, and also providing dev support, whatnot. So that's exciting because we'll start to see some implementations coming through. Maybe they can, and they've also talked about taking on the task of seeing what elements could be used from other blockchains like Steem to implement into BitShares. So that's all very good news.
Yeah, that's huge news,
I didn't
actually.
notice that. I'll have to give that an upvote.
Yeah, so for those who are holding BitShares and they want to vote for it, they can go to the wallet. And is it under Vikram? Do you know what it's under?
The worker proposal?
Yeah.
Well, I can't imagine there's a whole lot of worker proposals out there. It shouldn't be very hard to find it.
It's under Sol Ledger.
It's called Sol Ledger, and it's
Gotcha.
voted in already, number 1. And then there's another one which went at 12.
That's spelled SOLED as in Delta GER, correct?
Yeah.
Well, that's all some pretty good news, man. And I will say, Johnny, that there are things that I'm still working on with BitShares that I know about. I personally am wanting to bring back the tipping of BitShares assets on the BitShares Talk forums. So that's one of the first things that we're going to be trying to do with the ShareBot. It's just coming along slowly, but it will get there. If Steem was at 400 million still, or even heck, 200 million, I would be all over it, and it would be going much faster. But unfortunately, it's going to take a little bit longer. But there are projects that are working on it. Did you guys see Elixir, by the way, that I posted before I got kicked offline?
I read the article that you read from there, Fuzzy, and it sounded kind of good. I haven't done any further investigation on it, but it's one of the things that I have on my list of things to do over the holidays.
That is probably a direct... Elixir was probably built because I've been talking to people behind the scenes in Steem. Ontofractal was one of them, about the value of utilizing BitShares along with Steem to create sub economies, like, you know, having a guild token that backs up, that is maybe backed by Steem power, and that Steem power, you know, the token is used to get a vote from a guild account or of some sort that everybody pays 5 Steem backed dollars into or something, or, you know, 5 BitUSD that is then turned into Steem and then powered up for the account, or things like that. There's a lot of stuff that I think that we're going to see coming from these new chains that it's just, I'm looking forward to it. Let's just say that. This is one of the reasons why I kind of told people, you know, in the early days, the merger concerned me because we were losing. For God's sake, we lost DNS, you know, and DNS was my first witness that I actually was running myself. And it wasn't for the money, it was because DNS is so important.
Yes, indeed.
So I just remember thinking, you know.
One of the things that struck my mind when I was reading that article on Elixir was, all right, we have a whole nother programming language, which is probably a grassroots built programming language dedicated for this purpose. and whether or not that will catch on depends on how easy it is and how useful it is. And so another language can be a barrier to some, but as a programmer, you have to kind of learn to come up to speed on new languages all the time because they're happening all the time. But whether it's going to be useful and help the effort of getting people to getting more involved in the BitShares development will remain to be seen. But I'm going to check into it because it's an intriguing idea, and certainly anything that gets around the C++ requirement, I think, is a big benefit because it's a big, huge learning curve to come up to speed on C++ if you don't already know it.
Well, and that's kind of the reason why I say this is like there are a lot of people who really do care about BitShares because it was the first one. It's where we come from. It's where all this stuff is coming from. So they care about it, and I don't think that I think that everybody wants to try to help it in their own way, even if they're working on other projects, because it's like, I might own my own home someday or live with my own family, but I'll still love being at my, going and visiting my parents. Like it's just where you come from. And I think that the nature of the open source toolkits and stuff that, all these different chains being able to utilize the innovations of one another, it just cuts costs for everybody. And it makes it so eventually you reach a critical mass in code. And like you said, there might be a bunch of other codes, but even with that, as long as he cares about continuing to develop what he's developing, there will be a small group that will eventually form around him to work with him on projects. So those are the types of things that I would like to support, the types of projects I want to support if possible. So, just, maybe I'll reach out to him and ask him if he would be interested in a worker proposal or something. But we need to start looking at utilizing the tools we have to reach out to these people. I know I'm doing that, and I'm pretty sure others are doing it. But if you're not, consider it. There's a lot of stuff going on in BitShares area in general. It seems like it's, not very busy because Steem seems to be taking a lot of the thunder, but I assure you, BitShares is still capable of doing the same things. It's just we need to get the word out and get development and some of the basic stuff done.
Just like Data said about the
disappointed with Stan's spin-off that he was touting for a while, and then it was Remitio, which has links to Mark Lyford, which is not, I don't know, it's not great.
Yeah, I saw the video that you did, Johnny. I saw your video, Johnny, about the, well, no, it was Kronos's video about how to get cash out of BitShares using one of these debit cards that Stan made an announcement for a short time ago. And, for those that don't really mind having their bank account tied to their crypto information, that's fine. I think it's great for mainstream people, for example. For me personally, I'm not going to go that route, but that's just me. So I saw the video that Kronos did, and I thought it was a good job done.
The video with Uphold, the video with Uphold, that was me. I made that one. I don't know. I didn't see one with Kronos doing a debit card thing.
I'm getting confused then. It was yours then that I'm thinking of, because Uphold did trigger my memory there.
Yeah, Uphold's really good. I don't know if anyone's used it. Yeah, you will have to give away your details and all the AML, KYC stuff, but any service where you want to get your money back to your bank account, kind of for a proper company, they're going to ask for those details if you do any kind of volume. So it's just
your customer stuff.
Yeah.
I kind of like, one of the things I've followed for quite some time now is the Daily Decrypt now. They're defunct now, but one of the things that Amanda did there was to show how many people are living directly off crypto, albeit Bitcoin, but there's still ways to get to services like, there's just many things you can buy now. There's lots of companies coming online that will take crypto, and even though we have to kind of go through the typical reserve currency of Bitcoin to get it done, it still can be done, and the fees are not that huge to get into to transfer between one crypto and another. So I think it's still a viable approach, and that's why I'm sticking with keeping my banking and crypto separate.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. I know why people keep it separate and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like if we've got BitUSD and BitEuros and stuff like that, in order to prove to people that, 1 BitUSD is worth $1, then, to have some sort of bridge that lets you move your BitUSD to a bank account, or from your bank account to BitUSD, that's what will make people believe in it, like kind of the mainstream people. If they can do that conversion from their bank to the BitShares blockchain, then they'll believe. But at the moment, there's too many steps to kind of get from BitUSD to your bank.
I fully agree. We need that. We definitely need that for better adoption, no doubt.
We'll get there. This is one of those things that's going to take a while, and I've always thought that it would be other DACs that would bring a bunch of people to BitShares. So I'm just waiting for these DACs to get spun up and start, bringing in the demographics they're targeting. Because as soon as that happens, people are bound to learn about BitShares. And to me, that's just the best way of doing it. So I think in due time.
I think it's good to kind of remember why BitShares is so good, and why we're doing it, and why we want a pegged US dollar coin. And one thing that kind of made me remember again this week was all this news about India, where they just announced all of a sudden that two cash denomination notes are going to be non-legal tender by end of the year. So
crazy.
It's crazy.
It's coming to every single country in the world very soon.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a gold bug, and the fiat money system.
Here we go,
showing
guys.
cracks now.
You can't use high denomination euro. You can't use high denomination euros in Spain anymore.
Yeah, well, speaking of which, virtual growth is speaking up right now, and we have gone a little bit over for BitShares, and I apologize to everybody for that, but I will say that I'm glad that Johnny brought up the BitShares topic today, because there is a lot of stuff going on, and we don't really talk about it a lot on the Hangouts, because we don't have a whole lot of people who are from the BitShares community joining up to talk about specific projects. Most of us have projects that are based on BitShares in some way, shape, or form, or graphene technology, which comes from BitShares. But it's nice to go back there. And Johnny, I would love if you would feel free to join up to kind of represent what's going on in BitShares every week if you'd want, or even if you want to start your own Hangouts, just let us know, and we can get you upvoted some stuff on Steem, and at least get you paid for some of that stuff,
Yeah, maybe not every week, but just occasionally, just to keep BitShares alive, keep people interested in it.
Yeah, it's true. And there are things that I'm glad that you brought it up. When I saw that you posted about it, I was like, yeah, that's what we need to do. I think it is something that I think is important. And it's cool to have people, the fact that anybody can represent the community and talk about the news and what's going on. This is the reason why we have the Hangouts the way we do. So thank you for taking advantage of them. And I'll go ahead and I'll move to Virtual Growth, who is here, who's wanting to talk a little bit about Steemland, and I'm sure many other things. But say your part, buddy.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I actually started a guild recently for Steam Apprentice. That's been a kind of shared idea. If people have seen that or not, I'll post a link at one point. We're already up over 1,000 Steam within a few days. The Steam Apprentice channel has 260 users. In the Rocket channel, they help each other with live help. That's featured on the new page that Bitcoin made and Tim Cliff, which is a good way for new users to help learn about stuff, because people have so many questions, and we just have people, all different resources to answer questions and whatnot, which helps people. The guild is over 40 members. That's a minimum of 10 Steam to join. 2 members have donated 200. One of them has been talking to me sort of like a board of directors type of role. So we'll have like higher seats and lower seats, and just a way to figure out how to monetize and keep curating quality content seems to be one of the hurdles and concerns. So definitely learning about that and everything.
Well, it's interesting to hear that you're doing that. It's very similar to the subscription model that I was talking about for guilds, powering it up. And How are you guys going to utilize that? What are you going to do with the Steem?
Well, the Steem power is going to go into the voting pool, and that's going to vote for the members. And over time, we're going to increase the price and the value, and aim to increase the quality as well. Just not sure how that's going to advance. It's kind of a new thing, but it's getting
very cool.
It's getting a
So
group
like an
of
early
people
buy-in
together.
is cheaper.
Exactly. Early buy-in is cheaper, just like a lot of other things. And to get it rolling, get it started, and the lower people may be ported to another account and just have a lower level voting, Steem power wise, just to keep them with something, and then the other one will escalate, depending how things balance out and what we learn along the way.
But this type of solution, if you think about it, it really enables people to start feeling like, yeah, I'm not getting maybe I might not be getting, $500 every post, but I'm getting something that I can actually see, because one thing that kills people is whenever they see like, maybe 50 upvotes and it's not even a penny, because all of them are people with literally no Steem power.
Exactly. And with the Steemprentice, we're trying to connect lower people to higher people, and I'm trying to extend the guild in that direction. So we have lower people and higher people, different sized minnows and dolphins all in the sea that we're swimming in, and maybe develop ways that we can curate each other together as well in a team effort to add value. And then whales can add value to us as well, and then spread that value to minnows. Just a cross-working effort and work with communities.
I really like that you're doing this. This is something that I've been thinking about, very similar stuff. So it's cool to see that other people are thinking in that direction.
I've always been into games, just the gamification aspect. I was in the Boy Scouts for 8 years, the community aspect of trying to bring things together. So it's same type of thoughts. I'm definitely interested in exploring it. So that's what I've done. I just kind of jumped at it, so to speak.
Now, do you have people who are helping you on like a technical end, or how is the community utilizing this and helping you right now?
Well, it's early right now. I just have a couple people talking to me. People are wondering about how we're going to come up with keeping track of quality and stuff. And I got one person who's going to talk to me tomorrow. He's sort of going to be asked for a higher seat, kind of like a board of directors seat. And we're thinking of buying and selling the higher seats so people can actually get those. The higher holders will get dividends, and they will have a say in the project. And that'll create sort of a think tank as well as bigger investors, and a way to monetize them and buy and sell. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that's hilarious, because what you're describing is similar to a guild structure anyway.
Right, exactly. It's just a matter of what
so you
guild has.
have officers who pay $100 a month because they care about the guild that much.
Right. Right now, it's just going to be one-time payments, and it could evolve into monthly fees. We can have different types of seats. We figure there'll be different levels. We'll have lower levels that people will just enter a little bit to get votes, and depending on their quality is how much voting they'll get. As we grow, it's at 100% right now, but as it grows, we can look at curation values and give people more voting power for more curation rewards that we earn, therefore increasing value connections would be a way to say it, if that makes sense.
You could even have a BitShares token that pays out dividends based on how much the guild earns.
I think a token would be a great idea to help monetize the Steem power while keeping the Steem power intact. That'll actually retain value and keep it growing while we have another asset that's pegged to it that people can buy and sell and invest, and definitely create another commodity, so to speak.
Well, because then, if I'm holding my token, right, and it's the Steemprentice token, and I know that the better quality content that gets voted up by the Steemprentice Guild, the higher value this token's probably going to be worth. Now I have more of an incentive, to actually, by holding that token, to actually do the things that are going to be in the benefit, right? Because everybody who runs a guild or a community knows that it's hard to get people to do specific things. And you might get people to do specific basic things that need done, but it's hard to know what every little thing that's going to be necessary, right? So what I think a token does is it gives people the motivation and kind of an incentive generally to kind of put some unique ways out, like any way that, even the little ways that they might not think are valuable, the things that they can offer, they'll do it, and that might be the spark that it takes to drive the value through the roof, even though it's something small, like a word of mouth thing to somebody across, in an airport who just so happens to be a billionaire, or, or, you never know what's going to happen.
Well, the thing with tokens is it gives people a hand in the value of it separately without having a role, and they can be flexible in their role, and then they can curate people in the guild to add value to their tokens and other people's tokens. So you could actually get more value for curating this group because you can buy tokens that are going to go up. So you're actually getting an extra value for your curation. Otherwise, I was going
Chicken, is that for virtual growth in myself, or is that for something else? Before I say it, okay.
That's the chat because of the model they're talking about. But yeah, that's to ask. We are talking about a model on VNO.
Well, you started talking about this guild though this week. I'm pretty sure I resteemed it, as a matter of fact, on my official Fuzzy account. But I was very interested in seeing what you were doing with it because, it's one of those things where you think that you have a brilliant idea, and every time that I've ever had a brilliant idea, and I know it's a brilliant idea, I know somebody else has had it before me. And it's one, or somebody is having it at the same time as I am, or, but this was something that I think that the community, there are a few people who really recognize it. And it's cool to see other people kind of carrying that torch without you ever having to mention the idea to them. You know what I mean? Like,
right. And
that's the stuff that gives me hope.
Also, because we have the Steemprentice group already that are working together, a few of them have stepped forward because of the value they see within the group we already have going, that the value will be added. And other people have joined the Steemprentice group. So we're going to have more of that mentorship with people helping each other from this as well, growing the two group communities together.
I remember a game I used to play, and you could go out and you would have like wizard, and then you'd have an army, you'd have archers and all that stuff, right? And whenever they would win a battle, they would level up, right? So the more that they would practice, the more they would level up. And then you would have the ability to take them when they were higher levels and take them out of the army and have them teach and train others so they would come out at a higher level whenever they were created. And essentially that's how I see Steemprentice is you're creating more and more people who are mentors to one another and helping one another. And that just empowers them. And as that empowers them, it's going to create more and more people who are doing. It's very similar to, in a lot of ways, to think what we're trying to do with Beyond Bitcoin too, right? We allow people to use their own unique skills. Right. And whenever you have a single token like that you can tie the value to, now everybody's going to use their own unique skills. So I would like to, since we've had that conversation about BitShares, I'd like to ask the people who are here from BitShares, how do you see us being able to help Virtual Growth do this? Like, if you were interested in getting a token for the community.
Yeah, we both look to incentivize skill through a token somehow, in a way.
I know that we're working on some stuff to be able to pass out the tokens. It's been a long time coming, and it's getting closer, but it's not quite there yet. And, for the money that I have, I'm doing it it's taking a little bit less time. I mean, a little bit more time than I'd like it to. But we could speed it up if people wanted that. If people, know of developers who might be interested. These are things that I can see us doing to try to help with this, because I think this is the type of thing that all guilds or many guilds, it's a kind of tool that guilds should have at least available. You know what I mean?
Right. I think what was needed is like a website that can bridge the Steam account with the BitShares account to lower the barrier of entry, because people just aren't familiar with either, let alone both. They're so foreign to people, but I'm not sure how that will evolve in that direction. But the people who are interested will definitely reach out to learn about it.
One of the things that, and we were going to talk about the Beyond Bitcoin site a little bit after this, but that's one of the primary objectives of long-term goal with the Beyond Bitcoin websites, was to enable people, like, let's say you have a Steemprentice website and it's like Beyond Bitcoin where the back end is Steem. Well, it would enable people to imagine if you could go on there as if you're a subscriber, and you can share stuff and get tokens out of it for Steemprentice, Steemprentice for sharing on social media or something like that.
Right.
Steam
Boost has a monetizing system like that.
Interesting. So maybe we should reach out to Steam Boost and see if they'd like to work with BitShares a little bit too.
I talked to Steam Boost some. I can start that if you'd like.
Oh, I'm sure everybody here would love it. And if you're holding some BTS, I'm sure you would love it in the future.
Yeah, I have
really
some.
believe
I
that
haven't bought more. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, as soon as I really believe that as soon as people realize that BitShares can create a token that they create on BitShares can create an edge for them on Steam, that you're going to see BitShares explode.
Yeah, the two working together. There's just little barriers still.
Yep. Tools
and resources will help, like the sharing bot, and then the liquidity bots that recently have come about.
Well, that's kind of, G-Chicken saying share bits on Steam would go viral. That's one of the things that I would love to do, man. But this stuff, it costs a lot of money. So it's like I need a lot of upvotes, or I need 100% upvotes, or I need a lot of I need a worker proposal, or something, because for ShareBits to get all those extra things, it's going to take, it might be able to get it done in a year, but the question is, is a year going to be too long?
Right, and ChangeTip is ending its whole thing with tip sharing Bitcoin amounts because of the hurdles of the system and cost. And it definitely has more viability with Steem without the transaction costs. So if you could buy and sell BitShare tokens with Steem with minimal costs, that would help a lot, because that's one of the barriers.
Well, and even with something like BitShares, it's very low fees, you know what I mean? So it has fees. It's not fee-free, but I think that people, to have their own custom tokens with their own value propositions for people that they can use as an edge in the market, I think that that's something that, man, it's such low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, I'm going to mention a few other things too. Steemland, I actually had 1,000 Steem donation from Once Upon a Time, so thank you very much. That's still just sitting in there at the moment. I've had a few people in the community talking to me behind the scenes off and on over the past month. I made a post asking about feedback on favorites and stuff. I had a few people who went to Steamfest reaching out to me, like to continue that spirit in some medium. They're not exactly the virtual world people, so it's figuring out how to make this connection. But I can get content from people and pictures without those people having to go into the virtual world. And then we can share it in the virtual world like a museum, and people could actually earn Bitcoin for clicking on these things, so they'd be monetized like a small Newer users could actually get value out of it. They could be paid Steem as well, kind of like Steamfest did, potentially, as ideas. And then people would click on artwork they like and then go to Steem It blog pages, and then they could curate there as well. So another way to share value that I'm exploring.
That's the thing that I've been trying to think about it myself, because honestly, the only reason I haven't been on Steemland is my computer's like, I need a new computer. Let's just say that. I have literally I have to actually put all of my, all the Hangouts on a hard drive, an external hard drive after I'm done with them, because I have so little space on my dang
that's one
hard
hurdle
drive anymore.
because you need more memory for the virtual world and you need a better graphic card. So it's not going to be for everybody.
But the thing is, I would be the prime candidate person to get on. The only thing is, I can't think of how we would get a lot of other people on.
I think we can have a hangout like this in a virtual world and do presentations and have up their projects set up so people could see things. They could actually go and look at stuff while we're talking and interacting. And you can see a bunch of visual things. This has been done in some virtual worlds with some projects. Some corporations actually do teaching through virtual worlds and different functions. I used to go to a thing called a science meeting where we used to talk about all the different science stuff, and there'd be like 100 people there. But it's same thing as this. It's getting a core group and getting it started, which is the tricky part.
In Steemland, can you build your own structures?
Yes.
Like custom structures?
They're called primitives, so it's kind of like blocks, kind of like a Minecraft game, but they can also be minimally scripted. You can't do a whole lot of scripting because it takes up memory. But with basic interactions, we can have frames that people click on. They're pictures of different projects or blogs or artwork or photography, and those can be linked to web pages. So we could have an interaction with different web pages. And kind of like when you go to a flea market, you can have a bunch of different stands. People can rent land, either to create themselves, or we could just create for them basic creations.
Yeah. You see, I think that, man, trust me, I think it's cool. The biggest problem is that the MMOs that I see now, like the virtual worlds that I see now, they are the ones that it's like there was a period in time when if you were to create a virtual world that was like an MMO type of thing, it would be, it really wouldn't matter. It would be amazing to a bunch of people, right? But now there's just like this saturation of it. So you almost need like billions to really get a big audience on any virtual type of game like that. But the thing is, we're trying to appeal to an even smaller audience, right? Which is crypto, which it just feels like that makes things a little bit more difficult, especially if you're wanting to make any semblance of money for your work.
Right, but it's for just a few dozen people to have a certain specialty that's shared together and some type of resourcefulness. It's figuring out what that would be to work. There is a lighter client available too.
Oh, wait, so you're saying that you're not looking for a bunch of people to join up, like, hundreds of people. You're looking for maybe like 10 people, 12 people.
The core group will be dozens. Other people can just visit to see the lands, to see all the artwork and stuff, and then just move on. But it's more for collaboration, like artwork collaborations for artists to come together, and then they can show their artwork and make discussions. Projects like this, we can set up more pictures of all different things and make presentations. I think there's value in that in some respects, but I don't know. There might not be. People might not be interested and they might not find the value in it because the wrong people might have the computers for it. I'm not really sure exactly what direction. We could have live. Go ahead.
Yeah, we talk about this one, and it's so hard for me, man, because Joey D's here right now, right? And Joey can tell you he and I have had conversations about this very thing so many times. Like, this is, I mean, it's extremely important. And to me, I think that if you want to have like an open source conference, to have a conference center where people can literally like go and like see a presentation is a huge thing. But that's the hardest part for me too, is like, how do you get them to join up? And for me, a lot of it comes down to, we need more tools to be able to distribute tokens and to give value to those tokens before we can really start creating a bunch of incentive structures to bring people to do those things. Because I think of like a Beyond Bitcoin conference, right? It would be great to be able to pass out the tokens of sponsors directly to the attendees and, you know, pass out Beyond Bitcoin tokens to the guest speakers. But until I have that tool, you know, I can't do it. I can't use that. But once that tool's there, now I can leverage a lot less money to create my own token and build my own value, you know, and incentive structures from there.
Right. That's why I'm thinking about Wire Grid, which is incorporated with Bitcoin. We could use Bitcoin to monetize things as a reward on different levels potentially, and use that for other ones.
Yeah, Bitcoin could be used for sure. I mean, Bitcoin is used on it, right?
Yes, it's built right into the system. People will be able to withdraw Bitcoin.
I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's just a matter of how many people will think it's cool. It won't be a whole lot, but if there's a core group that gets value out of it, then it doesn't cost a whole lot. It's only going to be so many people. I think the thing that could be useful is if we could get a community going where there's a bunch of posts, pictures, and stuff presented that changes over time, and people could just visit and maybe have small meetups so that people from different parts of the world that are interested could just go to this Steemland and have their small virtual Steam fests.
Or, you know, yeah.
I'm just not sure how to structure it so that the people and the pictures and everything just falls together.
You know, I think this is one of those things that I'm glad that you continue keeping it in the discussion, because I feel like it's one of those things that, and you're probably aware of this kind of phenomenon too. I've noticed whenever I would run these guilds, right, it took a long time to seem like I was getting any traction. And then you would have times when you felt like you were getting a bunch of traction. And then there would be times when you felt like it just died down. And then eventually, every time that you got that bunch of traction, it would be more and more, you know. And it just kind of takes continuing to do it and talk about it until you get that critical mass. And it's almost like throwing spaghetti against the wall to see what sticks. But whenever things stick, you go, okay, you know.
Well, the
more
way
spaghetti.
the way to get people to listen to something 10 times is to tell them over and over again 100 times.
Yep, that's a good way of saying it.
One of the things I did recently, I asked for people's interest in who they'd like to feature, and I commented 90 names of people that did posts, and I got feedback because of that. And I had a couple inquiries from artists who were interested in possibly expanding upon their collaborations with PeerHub having their art for sale and possibly another way of displaying it. And I might be able to work it with coin payment buttons for those users if they have websites, as a way to share knowledge because of my knowledge on virtual goods or real world collectibles, games type of things, and the e-commerce aspect as well, which is another bunch of hurdles of learning.
You know, what you could do is you could reach out to June of PeerHub too. He might be able to connect you with whoever he had programming the PeerHub website. Maybe they've got an API or something that can be used.
Yeah, I talked to June a little bit, not much.
Well, I know a lot of people who sell, who at least have posted art to PeerHub which is a place where you buy and sell with Steem dollars.
Yeah. Also, I was doing the esports betting, as I've said in the past, and I changed it to do cryptocurrencies, and you bet whether they go up or down, kind of like binaries, and some people have kind of liked that. I'll post a link to one. It's just kind of a way to make it fun for people who want to pay attention to the price movements, because people are curious about learning and maybe expand upon it with charts or tables or whatever, but not to be too complex. And another way to accumulate Steem and distribute it like people like. I'm doing that right now with Steem, of course, Bitcoin, Ethereum, because it's high up there, and Monero, somebody asked the other day. So within an hour, I started a Monero one.
Well, you couldn't have chosen a better one. It's one of the better ones that I know of.
Yeah. I'm just trying them out. I can change them. I can do BitShares possibly. I don't think enough people will be interested in the BitShares, but I'll try it at one point and see.
Yeah, you might as well. You might be surprised. I've found that's another thing I've found. Like a lot of the time, I think that something is going to be extremely popular or unpopular, and find that I'm completely wrong on it. So sometimes it's nice to just throw out a trial balloon.
Yeah,
ATS would be a good one.
You just never know. That's why I just started with the ones. I started with Ethereum because that's one of the high-rated ones.
Definitely.
I mean, it's not a favorite for certain reasons because of the classic chain and stuff. But again, I just figured I'd try it. Then somebody asked about Monero, so I figured I'd try it. Now, if somebody asks about a different one, then I'll try that one. And we'll just see which ones are most successful and go from there.
Definitely. Well, if there's anybody who wants to reach out to you to talk about the Steem Guild or Steemland or anything, how do they reach you, Virtual Growth?
Rocket Chat is the best. I'm on there for this because of the Steemit, the Steemit.chat. That's where I am for most of the Steem stuff. I'm in the Steem Prentice channel, or you can directly message me. I can put the link for that too.
Yeah, and that is under Virtual Growth, all one word, correct?
That is correct.
Well, was there anything else that you'd like to finish on, or does anybody else have anything that they would like to ask him as we close this segment?
Steem voter Mark Goddard and the Crypto Driver here, because they've mentioned on my time before, if they want to use a short period of time to mention anything, I welcome them to.
Hey there. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to speak. It's good that I've got Mark in here as well. We actually managed to come to an agreement with Steemvote. I'm now 50% co-owner, and thanks to everyone who contributed, Fuzzy as well, and we managed to keep the project open, and we'll be making future changes in it, and hopefully adding features to essentially benefit future users and existing users as well, obviously. Yeah, so that's about it on the Steemvote side. And on the Steem Sports side, we actually have created a sister project called Chess Masters, which is going to focus only on chess content. And we've actually included Virtual Growth as an editor as well. So he'll be helping us with that, and also writing chess content along with our other writers. So it's quite interesting, and it should reach a different demographic to the sports people. I think chess appeals more to the non-sporty demographic, and the more sort of guys like me actually who are a bit more geeky. Yeah, so that should be interesting.
The Crypto Drive, I really like the Steemvoter interface. I used it, but unfortunately I can't seem to get it to accept my account. I put all the configuration info in there. Is there a restriction on which browsers you work with, or don't work with Steemvoter?
Well, I think Mark's trying to say something. Mark, are you saying something? Oh no, he says that his Mumble crashed. Okay, that's fine. I use Chrome. I find Chrome works for me.
Well, real quick, Mark Goddard, if you have headphones, that might stop the feedback if you plug them in.
I'll tell him in Steamer chat or not.
Sorry about the crypto drive. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just messaged him in Steamer chat and just let him know. But yeah, I use Chrome. That works pretty well. I know Virtual Growth had the same problem, and then Mark had to insert the posting key manually for him. Can you contact me in Steamer chat directly? Would that be all right? And then I can put you onto Mark. Or you can contact Mark directly. It's Mark, and his surname is Goddard, Godard. He's in here already. It's just use the same name and speak to him on Steamer chat. He'll help you.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Sure, no problems. Any other questions?
Not for me.
Okay, guys, if you're having trouble adding an account, it's usually because you're using otherwise the wrong key, because I've noticed a lot of people try to use their public key when it's supposed to be your private key. Other than that, I haven't really seen any persistent issues other than the browsers you use. I use a Mac, so I've never tested the like Internet Explorer. I've tested a lot of other browsers though, but I have not had very much feedback on the browsers that people are having problems with.
Well, I have both Windows and Mac. I've been trying to do this on a Mac, on Windows, but I will try it on a Mac, and it's a brand new Mac installation, so I shouldn't have any issues if that's how you do it, so I should be able to get going with that as well.
Feel free to contact me in Steemit chat.
No problem, Mark. Thanks a lot for your help.
No problem.
Cool. Well, I do know that there's a lot of stuff that that we talked about in the private chat that we had regarding Steemvoter, but maybe we can hold that that discussion a little bit off for the after party, because we're a little bit over time on virtual as well, so I'm trying to keep it reined in, but with that said, we were going to discuss a little bit of the BeyondBitcoin website today as well. And that kind of goes along with some of the stuff that I wanted, to talk about anyway with, virtual growth regarding the guild stuff. And this is maybe a good place to talk a little bit about how things like Steemvoter might be effective also for like a subscription service. Like for instance, let's say Beyond Bitcoin, who I founded Beyond Bitcoin. I wanted to create something that was for everybody who was interested in cryptocurrency and the various use cases. And I wanted to kind of build it as like a public service type of thing, as opposed to, your normal kind of networks where you're making money off of advertising things and creating big barriers to entry and things like that, making it something like a TED type of event where anybody can create their own. Now that lends to guilds a lot, which Virtual Growth and I and others talk about quite frequently. And we were talking today, Mark, about the potential of having a guild that Virtual Growth is doing something like he has everybody join up to the guild and pay like 10 Steem, for instance. And then that Steem power is used to upvote everybody's accounts. Now, it would be kind of cool if you could say, okay, well, there's different levels of subscription to our guild. Let's say 1, 2, and 3. First level is $5 a month. You get, you'll get 1% votes across the board, and you'll get a couple tokens that you can send in for, 25% upvotes from the guild bank. And then you have level 2, where you pay $25 a month and you get everything that you post is upvoted by 2%, with a 2%, at least. And then you can add more to it with, to the account, perhaps to the upvote with, the tokens that you receive. and then a third one that's like 100 maybe, and you have various levels of support that people want to give you then based on, and maybe you have something like Steemvoter that automatically upvotes a lot of this stuff for people. I don't know if you guys have thought anything about the concept of the guild aspect of this and how this service could be used to kind of empower groups of people to collaborate and cooperate.
I've actually thought of. Sorry, were you still saying something more?
No, that's actually what I was wanting to bring up for the discussion topic that I was wanting to bring up today regarding, because we were talking about Beyond Bitcoin in this segment, which is essentially just kind of a meta guild for different cryptocurrencies and projects that are working with various cryptocurrencies, right? So it's just a guild. So I guess that's kind of the discussion I wanted to open up, was what you guys had thought about it, what your thoughts were on how Steemvoter could be working with something like Beyond Bitcoin guilds. Since you guys are already here, we might as well discussion.
Sure, no problem. I'd actually thought of something that I put into the private channel, basically using the feeds. So we would have basically a feed voter service. So if someone wants to create a guild or a community, you would create one master account. That would be like the main guild account. Like you could even use Official Fuzzy as the main account, right? And then what you do is you pay a certain amount to create this account in the Steemvoter backend and have it usable for other people to actually join it in the Steemvoter backend. So you basically pay like a founders or creation fee. And then what will happen is you as the account admin on Steemit can follow other people using the normal Steemit follow commands and obviously unfollow if you don't want to follow them anymore, and re-steem as well. And then everyone who subscribed to your guild will auto vote everything that you re-steam or everything that you follow. Some other rules can be set in place, basically like number of votes a particular author can get per day, or just sort of a global setting of just of essentially number of votes that you can give to one single author. Also, you can set vote percentage and all that kind of thing just as normal. I think that could create groups like on Steemit, there's Minas Unite. They would probably find that pretty useful. Rather than all like sharing links in a channel, they just have one main account with a couple of people that own the rights to the posting key, choose who to follow and who to re-steam on an ad hoc basis, and then everyone just votes those automatically. It becomes a lot less admin intensive and a lot less user interaction required to vote, and they can concentrate on building their communities rather than clicking and voting the whole time.
Are you guys considering continuing working on this? Like, as far as like Mark, I know he's working on Equibit. Is this something that Mark is planning on working on, continuing to work on, or is this something that you are going to have other developers take over, or how is that planned?
Well, it's about a 1 week old concept, so we haven't really worked out any specifics of when it's going to be launched, but there's definitely, after I heard what you wanted to do, I thought it could be quite feasible. So I would have to discuss with Mark, and obviously if there's community interest, if people do want that service, it will obviously incentivize us to get it out sooner. We just don't really know if anyone wants it, or if it's required that way, or if it needs tweaking or anything of that sort. It's just literally conceptualized about a week ago.
Hey guys, how you doing today?
Hey Instructor, what's up?
Man, just hanging in here. Hey, just to chime in a little bit on this. This is one of the things I've kicked around on as far as implementing on the Steam Trail sites is, I looked at, Fabian has open source on the Streemian website. But if you guys are looking to go this route, I would each one of my Steam Trail communities would pay a subscription to enable this on a website or Steam Trail site that we use like Beyond Bitcoin, what Fuzzy has going on. Build our sites off of that, but this is something we can implement in the sites. This is part of. It's just part of it. We got, in my view, we have to have this in there because it makes it easier as far as new user signups, and then being able to join the actual trail or guild, however you want to term it. Just makes it easier. It's a streamlined process. We have everything in that one location. But if you guys are looking to roll this out, and maybe I'd probably look at I would pay a subscription for it, no problem, for each site. So.
Sweet, thank you. That sounds interesting. I'll speak to Mark and see what we can do, and maybe what we should do is we should write a Steemvote post about it, and then kick it around with the Steemit community and see what sort of support we would get to do such a thing, and maybe get some tweaks to it from other people who might have some good suggestions on how to improve on it. But I think the basis of it is pretty good, that everyone can just sign up on Steemvote and then auto vote one particular account's feed. I think that's going to really help, rather than everyone just exchanging links in like a specific channel or something. Like it could really, like I actually thought about it for the Robin Hood Whale project initially, whereby instead of everyone just putting it into the Robin Hood links channel and all that kind of stuff, you just the approved authors just get essentially added and followed, or if it's an ad hoc author, you just re-steam it once and it just gets voted by everyone who subscribed. So I thought that could help. Even could help Project Curie. It could help a whole lot of them, I think.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and also another thing, Ricardo, is working with Streemian for many months now. I would love to see a dashboard that helps me manage all the accounts, but also when I curate and we're in a voting trail, it's a first come, first serve. So what happens is if it starts getting top heavy with accounts with voting weight, new users that come in find it very hard to get any value out of their curation because it's getting sucked up. Like if Fuzzy put his well account in there and he was like, right behind me when I voted, well, everyone behind him, they're just going to get, not really going to get much of a reward, if any at all. So I wanted to be able to manage these accounts and put them into, a weighted group. And that way I can give the smaller groups more priority, that they can at least start getting some rewards. But, also the bigger accounts don't get as much, but damn, they can't be that greedy about it. So that's one feature. And I mean, we can talk about this in a later thing. I don't want to get too far. That is definitely something that if you guys are pursuing this, actively on a daily basis and can make these changes in the user interface on your site, I mean, that would go a long ways, man. That would be really cool if I could people can sign up and whatever their voting weight and steam power is, they're placed in a certain group, and then those groups can, we can just, that's where I see it going.
That's actually a very good idea. But now, with the new forks coming up, weren't they going to change some of the curation rewards, or talking about even taking them away altogether?
I didn't see them taking it away. I saw it mentioned, but I think the official fork, I think we're just adding more author curation rewards. Instead of getting 10%, I think it's really a 75%. But y'all can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, now they aren't taking them away at the moment, but I mean, I've heard talk of it being taken away in future. So I don't know if that's going to be harmful to your Steam Trails project or not, or if that will even materialize.
Well, I mean, taking curation awards away, period, would be not. I mean, it's not just the Steam Trail. I mean, hell, that's the entire platform. So I don't know how that's going to work out.
I think it was more to incentivize authors and to bring more authors in. And then people just upvote what they like and not what will get them curation rewards. I think that's the idea.
We'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, for sure. But look, in the meantime, we should have several months worth of curation rewards. So definitely we can implement something like this. One of the next things we would look, there's two projects that I'm really passionate about. One is the follow my leader, which is similar to Steemland, but you don't need an active key. You can just use a posting key. Much easier that way and more secure. That could lend itself to your trails, and we could have a dashboard as well. Also, the dashboard can show which trail master sort of has the best track record and that sort of thing, so that people can choose based on the stats who to follow. Right now in Steemland, you can't really tell who's the best curator, but if you had that kind of stats, it'll be quite cool in Steemvote if you could see that and then make a decision. Almost like, I don't know if you ever seen the, in some of the Forex sites, they have something called PAM, percentage allocated management or something of that sort, where they have guys who are professional traders that basically trade on your behalf, and you just choose which trader to follow and then just put your money behind him, that sort of thing. And it's got all the stats and graphs and things about his performance. Same sort of idea. That's what I think Steemvote could really have, that could be quite powerful, and that will help you with your trails. And then the other one was the other idea with the feeds that I just said, but I don't know which one is more needed first, because obviously, I mean, each one will probably take a month worth of development, or I'm not sure, Mark would have to tell.
Yeah, about a month, I would say.
Which one is more needed between the follow my vote and the feed vote for creating guilds?
If you're asking me, I have no idea.
No, I'm actually asking the whole chat room. Does anyone have any idea?
What about creating guilds specifically? I didn't hear the exact question.
Yeah, explain the feed to me just a little bit more. I mean, I use feeds to do a lot of my, because I mainly curate all my stuff. I don't use any kind of bots. I go in and look at every single one of them and actually read every single one of them when I vote. So, but I use like a feed to get my stuff so I don't miss stuff just pops up, Okay, cool. That looks like a good one when I'm doing other work. So if it works something similar to that, let me know. I'm not quite sure. Just explain it a little bit, Ricardo. I appreciate it.
Sure, no problem. Actually, just thinking about it now, I think the feeds could work for both of you, and we won't need to have two projects because, okay, just think about it this way. Your instructor 2121 feed, right? You curate everything manually. You decide who gets a vote. You might re-steam something into there that you think is worthy, or you might just follow somebody and you vote them every time you see the content pop up. So now what we can do is we can put your instructor 2121 account into Steemvote as a guild. So you'll become your own guild. Okay, and then people can subscribe within the Steemvote backend to your guild, and they will auto vote everything that pops up on your feed. So all you have to do is just get stuff into your feed. You won't even have to vote it yourself. It will also help you auto vote it automatically. Just get it into your feed, and it'll just vote. And everyone who's following your feed will also actually vote it automatically as well.
Okay, I see. So it's streaming, but it falls in the guidelines of streaming with account in there. People can follow you and all good stuff, but you're adding an extra element to it to where I can put in my preferred authors who I want to follow. I guess that's what you're putting in there.
Yeah, and it's more automatic. Like you don't even have to be there. You can just choose. Steam Sports, for example.
I got you.
And okay, like each time that a Steam Sports game comes up, your guild will automatically vote it and yourself. So you can be sleeping and it will do its thing. So you don't have to sit there manually voting it. you can even have restrictions whereby you'll only vote one particular author per day. So Steam Sports put out about 3 games a day. You might not want to waste voting power on all 3 and want to do more varied content. So you just put a limit and say, right, I only want to vote 1 vote per author per day or something of that sort. And then we can make it more granular with basically vote percentages and things like that. Maybe each user can set his own vote percentage. That would be more fair rather than the guild master setting the vote percentage.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The thing that comes to mind for me is if you're going to have a specific account that is going to be voting on people's accounts, then you want to have different tiers of membership to the guild, because one thing I've learned is that, you know, it's kind of like I don't know where that's coming from. Hey Thomas, can you mute yourself?
Who must mute themselves? Me?
No, Thomas. What I was gonna say is, when you have different levels of commitment from people in guilds traditionally, you'll have people who will never leave that damn guild, even if they're the last person in it. And then you'll have people who will be there, you know, they're going to be there for a while, as long as other people, you know, care about the platform and, you know, or the guild and what they're doing and stuff. And then you have people who are new, who have shown some, you know, some interest in helping in various ways. And then you have people who don't want to do shit, you know. So it would be nice to have various ways that people who are quote unquote leading a guild of some sort would be able to choose, you know, based on various levels. Like, let's say I have the Beyond Bitcoin Guild, and I actually can label, you know, this person's a member, this person, all these people signed up. These people are paying $10 a month though, so they're going to be, you know, they're going to be veterans of the guild. Or this guy, you know, does X, Y, and Z every month, so he's going to be that level of the guild. And you have like payment, you know, that that person's going to get 30% upvotes. You know, the person who might be a guild officer might get 75% upvotes, and they can pass. You know, the thing that I like about having an extra token though, which is why I want to work on the system and why I would like to have the ability to get things voted on by sending a token, is that I can, you know, if I can hand out a token to somebody though, then they can kind of vote for me and use that power, you know, or I can say, well, you know, this, you know, just voting you 100% isn't enough. I'm going to give you another token that you can upvote whatever you want 100% from my account. You know, I like having those extra kind of options in there, and I think that it would provide kind of a granularity of curation that otherwise we might not get from automation of voting. And that's the one thing that I do have a concern about with automation of voting. I don't have much of a concern about it because I think that it's an amazing idea, but people are generally lazy. So, you know, I think inviting and adding something like a token in there that would kind of incentivize them a little bit more, or, you know, make liquid some of that Steam power. I think there's a lot to be said for that in addition to this.
I was just gonna say one thing, but go ahead.
No. You actually beat me to it. You go ahead.
Okay. The one concern of people, just to mention it, is quality of posts. And auto voting doesn't really pay attention to that, and it's abusable. And automation does help, but you definitely want to have a way to keep it in check, so to speak. Just as I mentioned with Steemprentice, what I'm thinking of doing is reviewing the curation rewards that are earned by author, because I can fetch that from the account and put that into a worksheet, and then possibly weighting more towards authors who are earning us more value just to keep a quality insurance in place?
Yeah, sure. Look, okay, just some thoughts on this now. Now, maybe not understanding, but there's still some quality control here, because the people who have posting keys to the main guild account will be re-steaming posts on an ad hoc basis to be voted on. So they would have already read the post, would decide this post is worthy to be voted on by the entire guild, and then they would re-steam it, and then everyone subscribed will automatically vote it. So there will already be that quality control from somebody who would have had eyes on it. The same as Instructor 2121 is the leader of his trail. He would have read the content first, and then he would have decided it's worthy for everyone to upvote. It's the same thing. It's just a different method of getting the votes to happen, and a bit easier because we're using the re-steam features and the follow features in the platform. And it also gets the content onto the guild page, which is the guild account, so it gets featured there as well. So which brings more interest for readers to read what is being re-steamed by that guild account, and might bring more interest to the guild account as a good curator of good content. So Steem Trails would be a go-to place for good content, basically, within Steem itself. Right now, you can't really follow too easily what Instructor 2121 is voted on, unless you're using steamstats.com or something like that. So yeah, I think that's a nice way of doing it. I like Fuzzy's idea as well about different tiered memberships. And you can actually, we could work something in like that, no problem, that the guild master in the background of Steemvote will then assign that particular account that is following to a group, and that group maybe can only receive a maximum of 30% upvotes, and then the guild members can decide whether to give the maximum or give less if they want, but the maximum they can give is 30% as defined by the by the guild master. Coins can be integrated as well, and then, well, heck, we could even make it a Steemvote coin if necessary. Then it can be used by everybody, and then everyone who gives out a Steemvote coin and then pays it with some memo of the guild name, will get votes from that guild or something of that sort. So yeah, that's definitely possible. Or if you want to have your own coin, like an official Fuzzy coin or BeyondBitcoin, that should be also possible as well. My concern with Fuzzy's idea of basically essentially issuing a vote in exchange for a coin is that Steem power is limited. So if the coin ends up being quite popular and lots of people have coins, what if everyone cashes in at the same time or on the same day? His Steem power will be reduced to zero. So it's got a bottleneck, and I don't know if it's
that's not a problem as long as there's market data for people to see. Like, if you can look at my account or a voting account, and you want to have, let's say we have the guild Beyond Bitcoin Guild, right? And we have these tokens that are passed out. That might be a problem if we don't have the data to know and say, because if you're holding a token, it's very dangerous for you to start passing them out willy-nilly if we don't have, if there's no way of people knowing this account right now is at X% voting power. You know what I mean? And there's a queue of it to vote on this, and this. So by the time it gets to you, it's going to be this percentage. Is that okay? and things like that. If a user or if users can easily see what an account's voting power is that backs a token, then they can decide when they're going to use it. So I don't see a bottleneck as in terms of that. The problem would be, if everybody wanted to vote for something at the same time or vote for, a bunch of stuff at the same time. But the thing is, if they do that, they're then the ones devaluing the coin. So they have they have an incentive to not do that as often as possible. You know what I mean? Because if you're holding that coin and you want that coin to stay valuable, the likelihood of you using it all the time and spreading them far and wide is going to be a little bit less likely, considering the dynamics.
Yeah, it definitely seems to make sense. Yeah, that actually is good. And then I'm thinking one step further here. It could be as easy as when you pay the token. Let's just say for simplicity's sake that everyone can use the token, make it a Steemvote token, right? So we have a field on the Steemvote website that you would submit your token there and then write a memo of the name of the guild. And then what will happen is, and the link to your post. So your post will be re-steamed automatically into the guild queue. And then everyone in the, guild's, what you would say, membership would then automatically vote. How's that idea?
Yeah, and what I was thinking also is, let's say BeyondBitcoin, each token might be only worth 1 percentage point, right? And I was thinking about this. You could have the guild account, and it essentially does exactly what you're saying with the feed. You actually have other people who, if they might you might subscribe, but you can also donate your voting power to become part of the guild instead of subscribing with a monthly fee or something, right? And that BeyondBitcoin token, I might give you 5 of them, but each one of them is only worth 1% vote from everybody who's part of that guild, right?
Yeah,
including the guild account. And what I was thinking is, rather than having it, well, maybe having it as a memo, that would be fine, but you would also have to have the URL in there as well, right?
Yes, you would have to have the URL. Okay, there's 3 aspects to it. Yeah, thank you. There's 3 aspects to it. One is obviously the coin that you're going to be essentially paying through. If it's a Steemvote coin, you're going to enter the quantity of coins or whatever it is. Well, I think it's just going to be a single coin. I'm pretty sure it won't even have to be anything else. But you have to somehow prove or send the coin across. I'm not sure how that will be done. But anyway, we'll figure that out later. But the other 2 essential things are the guild name, okay, and the post URL. Those 2 you're going to have to definitely put in. And I'm thinking probably going to have multiple coins, because in that case you don't have to put in a guild name. You can just put just send in that coin, and then the system will recognize that this is and BeyondBitcoin coin.
Well,
and
that might be true. That might be true. The only problem that might come from that is when you have alliances between different guilds. Like you might have, for instance, Steam Sports and BeyondBitcoin have an alliance where we accept each other's tokens. But we don't have to go into that too deep right now. But that is, those are things that we can look into later as potential thoughts.
Yes, definitely. Sorry, IntelliGuy is saying something. Could you read that out for us, Fuzzy? My screen's a little bit fuzzy on that.
I'm reading it right now. It says the design has to include those off days where we make posts that aren't that good, so we're not just upvoting because of membership reasons automatically too. I guess this is seen as just a boost or a bonus vote by a whale, so it's not a huge problem. I just want to ensure the project gets respect it should earn and not seen as an abusive mechanism or people who will vote it down the bot.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Fuzzy?
Yeah, my thinking on this is that when we talk about stuff with Steem, I really think that we sell Steem wrong. I'm just going to say it. We talk about paying out all the time, and that quality content will get paid. And sure, that's something that we aspire to. But let's face it, this is a social network where you're able to monetize your friendships and your network, and you're able to monetize it and empower that monetization by investing in Steem power. So I don't really think that content, I understand that quality content is something that we should aspire to, but I don't think that we should say, if you have quality content, come here and earn money and tell people that is like the main power of Steem, because that isn't the main power of Steem. The main power of Steem is the blockchain enabling it to make it so somebody cannot be censored, right? And that you can pay out to people who are in your network of friends. Like, how awesome would it be that I can pay out to people? There are not content police on Facebook when I go up and upvote something that somebody else, there aren't going to be people who are going to say, we're going to flag this post. There are people who might disagree with it, and they refrain from upvoting it or giving it a thumbs up or sharing it on their own pages and stuff. But you don't have, the problems that you have with Facebook and stuff like that here in Steemit. So those are the things that we should be focusing on, I think. And because I think that it's actually that perception, that kind of off perception, that unrealistic perception that the best content will get the most money. I think that that's not necessarily the best focus, and I think that that's where the root of all those problems would come from. You know what I mean? Because really, it should be more about having a guild of like-minded people who are wanting to do similar things and find subjective value. That's why Bytemaster said subjective value. It's not objective.
Right. Yeah, I agree totally with that, Fuzzy. I mean, this is a social network. It is. If you have a group of friends, you're part of a group of friends. I mean, that's value right there. That's why it's important, like you said, to have guilds, communities with people with like-minded interest that can support one another. They can grow that organically. Not only with just what they have at present time, but even future members that come in. Their attraction should be not to attract people into Steemit.com, but to attract people into a community, their group with like-minded interests. Yep. And that's how you grow things. That's how this attention economy gets spurned and it gets going, because when people are interested, if they're a part of a group that have that certain interest, whether it be a gaming community, travel community, whatever, they're going to steemit that. Why? Because that's what they love. That's what they like. And you get that built for them. We have Steem blockchain, then we have Steemit. Steemit now becomes a background thing that has all these posts and blogs, and it's just pretty much another engine as we start building these layers upon layers, But the main thing is to get people in from the outside, new users, and we can grow it that way with new money coming into the system, the ecosystem, and just grow it that way. And we're in the early stage. We don't even know where the hell this thing's even going to go yet. But my view of it all is, okay, and we can get like-minded people together. That's a great start.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Essentially, we've done something similar where we are trying to do that with the sports community, and similar to what Fuzzy wants to do with Steem Sports. What we do is we add onto Steemvote all other authors that regularly write sports content, and we also add all of our team members as well, who are our writers and editors. We'll automatically upvote stuff that they put out. And so we are fostering a sporting community as such. And similarly to what Fuzzy wants to do, we are also voting our friends and our editors who are with us in the sports thing, you know. So that's what we are doing essentially, yeah.
La 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 la.